Good morning. It is Friday, July 17th. I'm Jason Stanton. I serve as senior pastor at First Lutheran in Onalaska, and I am back to do morning musings and everything else that we're doing as church in these days. I remember back in May, this would have been 6 or 7 weeks into our lockdown, shutdown, whatever you call it, and I remember hearing an epidemiologist who also had a psychology background talk about how we're going to need to figure out not only how to live in a world where social distancing is required, we're not only going to need to figure out how to do that physically speaking, that we're apart from each other, but we're also going to need to figure out how to do that emotionally. All of us are in need of relationships, and not just the none or handful that happen in our homes, and from our homes, but also in-person relationships where we see the people who matter to us. And I remember someone asking in that interview, so how do you see that happening? And of course the answer was, I don't know, because we don't know how to do anything in these days. And that was a couple months before a trip that my family always does. The last week of June, first week of July, we always meet up with seminary friends. I think I've mentioned this before, in a morning musing. And as we were considering whether to or how to do that, people started talking about sharing a bubble, for example, that would be a strategy for how to remain socially distanced from the vast majority of people, but to possibly share a bubble with grandparents, or maybe one or two families in your neighborhood, or something like that. And then there's the other strategy of in addition to maybe you do meet up with people in a special way, but then you need to quarantine 14 days and before and after meeting up with them. And so all these things are rattling around in our heads as we were trying to figure out whether to do our ALPV trip. ALPV stands for Association of Lutheran Pastors on Vacation, which sounds very official, but it's actually just made up by these two friends, their families, and mine. A few years ago, we saw there was a group rate at the Akron Zoo, and we had the 15 or more people that were required. And so we thought, well, we need to have a name. You can't just say to the zoo person, yeah, we've got the 15. Well, who's your group? Well, we needed to have the name of a group. So we're the ALP, the Association of Lutheran Pastors on Vacation. And we thought, well, how do we meet this year, especially and I think I've mentioned this before too, we have a medically fragile godson, Sam, who lives with Down syndrome in Colorado Springs. He's had a rough few months, and so we needed to see him. So we made it happen. We chose to do it, and we tried to do it as faithfully, responsibly as possible. Which means, we get to quarantine for 14 days now. After we met with our friends and their families, we also then, while we were out in Colorado, we rented an RV. We've never done this before. And we rambled around a lot of rocks in the Southwest, in Colorado and Utah. Again, we thought this was the most responsible way to do it. No public bathrooms. We made our own meals, never went to a restaurant, that kind of thing. And we covered between here and Colorado, and then the trip in the RV, about 4,000 miles. And a lot goes through a person's mind over 4,000 miles. Wow, there's a lot of land that no one lives in or seems to use in any way. Wow, there is a lot of beauty that is so very otherworldly different from the grassy green Midwest. wow, there's just lots of wows on this trip. And I guess upon return, I kind of feel like I won an Academy Award. Like, I need to thank a lot of people. That in my absence, things, it sounds like I have not even looked at my emails really, all of them, but I have seen enough to know that Pastor Karen had some notable challenges during my time away, and yet just put her head down and did it the whole time, as I hope I would be able to do in her absence. What a gift that is. There are so many pastors who don't have a partner in ministry. To be able to be away for a couple weeks and really not worry about a thing I feel really fortunate about that. I'm so grateful for, well, you know, upon a big trip like this, you're just grateful for your bed. I love my shower. I love my house. Like, I just missed some things, some creature comforts that you're used to. I'm so grateful for my kids and what travelers they are. You know, the day we came back 2 days ago, because yesterday was just recovery day, but when we came back a couple days ago, we just went from Colorado Springs. It's 15 hours in the car, and they just did it. That didn't used to happen, by the way. This happens with age. I'm thankful for a wife that puts up with me in so many ways, and allows me to partner with her to not just plan, but then execute a trip that included a lot of burden on her. Thankful's not enough of a word, but it starts to get there. And then I'm thankful for my call. This call to First Lutheran has been a blessing to me, and as I thought through what this part of my ministry is about, I think I'll always look back on these years, I hope it's not years, this period, as a time that was so full of opportunity. And I think our staff, our members, I think we're ready to take on the many opportunities that we have to be church in ways that maybe we should have been before and can be especially now. And so to my staff, to everyone who helped keep my house up and keep my dog, and thank you. And I'm really excited about what the fall and beyond could look like, no matter whether we're meeting in person for worship and everything else or not. I think God is up to some pretty amazing stuff.